honestly, this is something that I'm not completely healed from. Hey y'all, hey, I am Fed Hollins and welcome to Release the Journals. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about shadow work, which is my absolute favorite. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I also want to thank those of you who reached out to me and said that you are really enjoying this series and that is really helpful. So thank you for that. I really appreciate you because I don't want to be doing this for naught. But I just felt compelled to share these stories because I feel like we are all connected and we're all going through something, have been through something. And so, yeah, thank you for all of your positive feedback. So today I am pulling from my shadow work journal. So I encourage anyone who is serious about personal growth and getting to the root of their patterning is to look into the shadow. So what is the shadow? Shadow work is basically just looking at parts of ourselves that we hide, that we suppress, that we deny, that we act like doesn't exist. And what you gotta know is that you can only suppress something for so long before it just blows up and combusts. And shadow work allows us to look into that, to see what it is that we're suppressing because of something that we're ashamed of, because we were told that it was bad or that it was wrong or undesirable. And so those are the things we kind of push down, hence push to the back, push to the shadow. So that's what shadow work is. So what happens when we try to hide those things that we were told were bad or undesirable? They don't go away, like I said. So then we project that onto other people because we're ashamed of whatever it is and we want others to feel that way also. So shadow work was developed by Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung, or Jung. I don't know how to pronounce it. I hear it pronounced different ways. He was born in 1875 and he died in 1961. So his theory was that the collective unconscious. He believed that we're all connected to each other and to our ancestors through a shared set of experiences, which thus forms these archetypes. Y'all, when I tell y'all I am obsessed with archetypes, archetypal work, OMF to the G. I have been reading up on studying archetypes for at least, I would say 3 years or so. So archetypes are just universal patterns of behavior, which we all recognize. So we see them in movies. This is the best way that I can do like an analogy of it. So I'm going to use like Disney movies. Disney, Hollywood, whatever, but I'm just going to use Disney, has mastered the use of archetypes. So when we see like the seductress, however you pronounce that too. Why am I choosing words that I'm having a hard time pronouncing? The seductress, like the bad boy, the hero in films, the villain, the goody two shoes, the good girl, all of those are archetypes. Like I said, universal patterns of behavior, which we see in everybody. So we see those in films and we readily know who those people are because, again, like he said, we all have, we are collectively conscious and have shared experiences. So we're able to recognize that when we see it. And what that does is archetypes have these shared, I had the word, begins with a Q. Man, not quality. Is it qualities I'm trying to say? Characteristics. Universal patterns, but we have this. They have the same characteristics. So that's what archetypes are. So we're able to see it. So when we see, like a bad boy, the characteristics in a bad boy is, tough. This outward tough demeanor. He may be a criminal, maybe. He's just bad, you know what I'm saying? Like, into like maybe illegal activities, stuff like that. I'm just pulling this out of pretty much off the top of my head. But when we see this in movies, it's like girls be like drawn to the bad boy because he seems interesting compared to probably like, you know what she is. If she's a good girl or whatever, you get what I'm saying. So that's what archetypes are. So Carl Jung wrote, everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. Translation: the more you're hiding, the more you're keeping secrets, the things that you're ignoring, the things that you are denying or acting like doesn't exist, the darker your shadow is. It's why you see priests that molest young kids, young boys. It's why you see domestic violence in relationships. It's why you see all these hate crimes. It's because there's a darker side, a darker shadow, a darker side to that person that they're ignoring in themselves, and they're not willing to address it. So it has to come out. Like I said, you can only suppress it for so long, and you have to get it out. And the thing is not to be ashamed of whatever it is that you're hiding or keeping a secret. It's to get it out or express it in healthy ways. The thing is, we tend to express it in unhealthy ways, hence molesting boys, raping people, hate crimes, because we all have the same emotions. We all experience anger. We all experience sadness. We all experience happiness. We just have to express, we have to get it out. Just like when we're happy, we get it out. We're just like, oh my God, I'm going to dance. And we're dancing. It's like, oh my God, I'm so happy. But we've been taught like, okay, anger is a bad emotion, which anger is not a bad emotion. I feel like all emotions, they're just neutral. And it's just about the way we express it. Emotions are feedback to tell us, okay, why is it that I'm feeling this way? Why is it that I'm happy? Oh, because this, and this. All right, let's just repeat more of that and duplicate more of that. Why is it that I'm angry? Oh, because this person cut me off while I was driving. It's just like, why does that bother you? So then you have to get to why something is affecting you the way that it is, and get to so if somebody cuts us off, we have to ask what characteristic, and that it's a word that I'm looking for that I can't think of now. It begins with a Q. I know that I can see it in my head, but I just can't think of the word. What characteristic in that action is making me feel a certain way? So if somebody cuts me off, I see that person as rude or inconsiderate. This is an example. Then you have to ask yourself, okay, in what ways am I rude and inconsiderate to myself? What ways am I rude and inconsiderate to other people? What ways am I rude and inconsiderate to the person that cut me off? Well, you're not going to ask yourself that because you're probably not going to know the person that cut you off, because it's, but this is an example, and this is how you get into the shadow work. I will say though, this is a disclaimer. Shadow work ain't easy. It takes a lot of reflection, a lot of journaling. So if you don't want to go deep, dig into the depths of your soul,
go deep,
you're not going to want to do shadow work. But I love shadow work because I love getting deep and going into the depths. I love the darker side of things. I love taboo things. Which is why I'm drawn to shadow work. When I found out about it, I was just like, oh my God, this is my thing. This has been happening, because this is why a lot of people come to me and share their stories with me. And I have a friend of mine who started calling me the human vault, because I know a lot of people's deepest, darkest secrets, because they trust me they trust me with their stories, because they know that I'm not going to share it with anybody. But it also helped me to understand like why they were ashamed of their story. So I recommend any of Debbie Ford's books. She's no longer alive. I found out about her again like 2 years ago, and I've read like 3 of her books. 3 of her books have changed my life. That's all I'm gonna say. Changed my life. And I'm not just saying that. So this entry comes from the book The Secret of the Shadow by Debbie Ford. This was actually on February 14th, 2021. And one of the exercises, because like I said, it's a whole bunch of reflecting and journaling. One of the exercises is to identify 10 incidents, positive and negative, that have significantly affected your life. Reflect on each one and ask, what skills and abilities do I possess because of this experience? How can I use this incident to contribute to myself and others? If my life were training me to fulfill a particular need in the world, what would it be? So I did write down 10 incidents, positive and negative. I am not going to read all of them. Of course, I'm choosing one. And the one that I chose is when I lost my virginity at 11 years old. Whew, I'm going to try to keep this together. Because like I stated in the beginning of the video, this is still something I'm not completely healed from. So to answer the questions, the one incident I'm choosing is losing my virginity at 11. So what skills and abilities do I possess because of this experience? I realized that I am a sexual healer, which I did not know was a thing, but it is. How can I use this incident to contribute to myself and others? I said by talking about it, which is helpful. And 3, if my life were training me to fulfill a particular need in the world, what would it be? And I said it would be the need of significance. So this is why this is still a struggle, because I've had so much shame around this. Not necessarily me losing my virginity at 11, but because of it, it caused me to be this promiscuous teen all the way up through my adulthood. And also, I mentioned in my other video, y'all can look in the comment, not in the comments, in the description, there's an attachment style quiz that I think once we learn what our attachment style is, it helps us to better understand why we show up the way we do in relationships. So, in the combination of my attachment style, which then, like, I'm not that now, there are 4 attachment styles. And ultimately, you want to get to the attachment style of a secure attachment style, which basically just means you're better able to regulate your emotions. I did this again. I'm always getting lint on my lip. Okay, so there is, I don't even know if I remember all of them. Like fearful avoidant, dismissive avoidant, anxious preoccupied, I think it is, and then secure. When I first tested, I was a fearful avoidant, which in a nutshell just means that it's the most difficult of the attachment styles. So we have this strong desire to have connection, love, and all of that, but also we have this high distrust of others. So you could just imagine, it's like you're pulling people to you, and then at the same time you're pushing people away, because it's like, oh my God, I desire love, I want you here, I want you to be here, but then at the same time we're doing things subconsciously to push people away. So that, in combination with my emotional needs, which again I would encourage you all to look into emotional needs. We all have emotional needs. These are not wants, these are needs. that humans must have. Excuse me. So the 6 human needs. Oh my goodness. I'm not editing this. Okay. The 6 basic human needs: connection/love, certainty, variety, significance, contribution, and growth. We all have these needs, but they all vary in rank to us. And okay. Breathe, slow down. They all vary in rank. That's what I'm trying to say. I talk really fast. I'm not really working on that. For video purposes, I am. They all vary in rank. So, connection is number 1, connection/love, which is like, it's my greatest human need. But when combined with my attachment style, because I had the 5th level one, like I said, the connection, the love, but the fear of getting close to anyone because I didn't trust people, caused issues. So I was just going through my life in this cycle of this push-pull dynamic, right? And so the only way I knew that I, desired connection, but the only way I knew how to connect was through sex. And this caused problems because I was neglecting my emotional needs. And I was neglecting my emotional needs because of the way my emotional needs were met when I was a kid. Hence what you will learn when you take the attachment style quiz. So what I learned when I was, as far as my emotional needs went as a kid, my emotional needs were not met, just period. For the majority of us, our emotional needs go unmet. Sometimes that's intentionally and not intentionally. We, for real, have to forgive our parents or our caregivers, whoever raised us, because sometimes they legit don't know. And so I come from an emotional, unavailable household. My mom did not pour into me emotionally, period. I grew up an only child, so I'm my mom's only child. My father has 3 other kids, boys. I didn't grow up with them. So I'm in a household, I'm my only child, and it's just me and my mom, and she ignored me my entire life, pretty much. I ain't gonna say my entire life, my entire youth. Because I think towards the end, before she passed, she started realizing oh shit, it was some things that I wish I could have done differently, which, we're human, and what you don't know, you don't know. So me and my mom didn't have conversations. I would come in the house, my mom wouldn't speak. My mom wouldn't speak. So I pretty much grew up trying to get attention. So any way that I can get it, I was getting it. And so not only the attention aspect, okay, look at me, look, okay, I'm over here tap dancing, I'm over here moving, nothing. It was just no attention. So I sought that in other people. So when I lost my virginity at 11, it became this thing okay, somebody's paying attention to me. So then I became this promiscuous person, right? And then that created a cycle of using sex as connection, but at the same time neglecting and abandoning my emotional needs, because I didn't know how to really be emotional, because my emotional needs weren't met. So I became emotionally unavailable. So then I started attracting emotionally unavailable people. So it caused this cycle of casual sex and hookups and lifelong quote unquote friends. So what I can do is compartmentalize. I can have sex with you and be cool with you without fully committing to you, because again, we were connecting sexually, but not emotionally. So that takes me to when I was going to the therapist. My therapist passed away in October 2020. Jesus Christ, the Latter-day Saints. When I was going to my therapist and telling her stories, she was just like, why are you collecting exes? And I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, what does that mean? So she was just pretty much like, I think it's worth looking into how you can be maybe in a relationship with somebody. Then y'all break up. And then you could be really good friends with them. So she's just like, why is it that you're not able to sustain relationships? And I'm just like, I don't fucking know. But yeah, I did look into it. And I had to do some shadow work to find out. So to go back to question number 3, which was, if my life were training me to fulfill a particular need in the world, what would it be? And I would say that my life is training me to get over the notion that I'm not good enough and that I am worthy of more than just casual sex and hookups. Because what that did as far as me, like I said, losing my virginity, it put me on this path of feeling like sex was the only thing I had to offer. Even though I knew that, that I'm smart and that I got this dope ass energy and all this. I knew all of that. But again, I knew that on a conscious level. Subconsciously, something was saying all these other things, like people aren't trustworthy. You're only going to get hurt anyway, so just get your connection needs met and just keep it pushing. And that was it's not accurate, right? So I will go on to attract unavailable men. And when I really started to pay attention to it, because again, these men did not know each other, but they were all saying the same things to me. And I started paying attention, like, okay, there's something to this. So they would say things like they love my personality, they love my energy. They will open up to me about pretty much anything and everything. I'm sorry, I had to stop the video because my 15-year-old, she's leaving. But they would say things, they would open up to me, kick it with me about any and everything. They say I was easy to talk to, but at the same time, these people couldn't or wouldn't commit to me for one reason or another, right? And I'm just like, what the fuck? So this would trigger me. I actually have a video that I did. I got a video that I did, I want to say maybe 6 years ago, maybe more, longer than that, about how 3 or 4 of my exes, after we broke up, and within a few months, they married other people. Let me repeat that. I was in relationships with these people. And shortly after we broke up, they married someone else. And I was just like, this is not a coincidence. You know what I mean? So this triggered me because it made me feel less than. It made me feel like not good enough, which is my core wound. Going back to, like I said, the attachment style. What my wounds are, I have a huge core wound around not feeling good enough and not feeling seen and heard. So because of that, that's how I showed up in relationships. That's the type of people that I would attract, because if I don't see myself as worthy or good enough, then no fucking body else is either, right? It's that thing like you got to teach people how to treat you. So while I'm out here, I can say, okay, I'm cute, I'm this, I'm that, blah, blah, blah. That's consciously. But subconsciously, I'm projecting this and accepting and tolerating certain behaviors and treatment because, like, low key, I really don't, value myself, right? So shadow work taught me that if something triggers me, that means there's something that's unresolved. And I had to ask myself, why does this keep pissing me off? Why is this happening? Because the thing about when you get into the shadow, what triggers me is not going to trigger the next person. So when something doesn't trigger you, then it's just like, it really doesn't matter. You have to look at the things that trigger you positively and negatively. But we're talking about negatively at this point. Negative stuff at this point. So I felt like that was unresolved. I'm just like, why does this make me feel a certain way? Why am I feeling like, okay, I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. So that's the work I had to go into. Like, this is why. And one of the ways to do the work centered around things that trigger you is, okay, I'm gonna do this example. Oh my God, I feel so bad, so sad that these people got married after we broke up. And it's like, okay, what is that's the word I still can't find. You would think that I would have looked for the word by now, but I'm trying to finish this video. What is because that's the action. Them getting married, that's an action. What is the characteristic of them getting married that's triggering me? So in what ways? Okay. What way? Okay. So I felt like they weren't committed to me, even though we were like boyfriend, girlfriend. I felt like, okay, they're not committing to me in that way. So then I had to ask myself, so in what ways am I not committing to myself? So you have to ask yourself, you have to ask the three things. In what ways am I doing this to myself? In what ways am I doing this to other people? And in what ways am I doing it to the person? So the person that's triggering you. So I looked at it like, in what ways am I not committing to myself? And it's just not in just simply the area of relationships. You have to look at all the areas of your life. There's 7 areas of your life. I'm not going to rattle those down, but because what shows up in one area of our life spills over to another. So if we're having like challenging romantic relationships, we're probably having challenging platonic relationships as well. We're probably having issues at work. We're probably, you see what I'm saying? So I had to ask myself, in what ways am I not committing to myself? And that's when I realized that I was abandoning and neglecting myself in a lot of ways too. Do you know what I'm saying? So this goes back to projection, shadow work. While we sit up here, when we judge other people, we're projecting our ignorance onto other people. It's like, ask yourself, where is that lacking in your life as well? So I realized that while I'm feeling sad about these people not committing to me, I wasn't committing to myself either. I was not honoring the things that I truly wanted. I wasn't committing, just period. So that's the example. So you have to do that. Again, it's a whole fucking lot of work. You have to do that with each and everything that triggers you. And then you have to align that or match that with all the 7 areas of your life and see how that's showing up. And then you can see like, wow, this is why. So I just don't believe that things happen. That things are like a coincidence. It happens to teach you. All of that taught me that, okay, this is why. Accept what happened, get the lesson, and just move on, right? Bam. That's it. So that's the end of it, y'all. That's my journal entry. Have you all done shadow work before? Do you all think you're going to do shadow work? Did you Did you lose your virginity too soon? Oh, I did forget to mention that while I did lose my virginity at 11, I was not raped or molested. I don't really like to use the word consent because I don't know how much consent one can give when you're 11. But the guy was also a teenager based on my recollection. I remember him being 15. However, in hindsight, he was driving. He had like one of those 5.0s. So I'm thinking now, like, maybe he was older and I just didn't know it. He was like he was the cousin of a friend of mine at the time. But to me, I'm just like, okay, he got this what are those cars? It was a 5.0, so I don't know, are those Mustangs? At the same time, I chalked that up to he was also a drug dealer. So he could have very well been 15 driving a 5.0 because he was a drug dealer, or he could have very well just been older and I was just none the wiser. I actually have a blog post that I wrote about me losing my virginity at 11. And to this day, is one of my most popular posts. You can check that out in the description if, you just want to read that. But yeah. The greatest relationship we can build is the one to ourselves. Heal that shit, y'all. Bye.